Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, in Japan, MARIGOLD had their latest show in Korakuen Hall, continuing with more of the grand opening wars. But this one had a very interesting main event. We have Nanane Takahashi doing the passion injection onto, of course, the ace Utami Ayashira. Well, she's the ace, this claims that she's the ace of MARIGOLD. So we will see what happens until then. And as we move on with NXT, as you know, we just entered the aftermath after NXT Battleground. As you know, we have a brand new and first inaugural NXT Women's North American Champion, Kelani Jordynne. Now the question does remain, who will be the first to take a crack at it? We have seen, of course, from the other titles, as you know, there's been some titles that retain, and that's what exactly happened. And then, of course, we're seeing very interesting matches are going to be taking place throughout the entire time, and a lot of twists are going back and forth. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing much of Sendai Girls' much recent event that took place back on June 9th in Shinjuku FACE. Very interesting matches. We do have for the main event the Sendai Girls World Tag Team titles defended. Ryo Mizunami and Nanami take on Yurika Oka and Miyu Momono. So we will see what happens until then. And then we cap up this episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course some developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling that we need to address. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to tell what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as, of course, if anything that it's been alerted, you guys will be the first to hear it from me as well. And of course, we have the Unagi Sayaka watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I believe it's time to rock and roll. So let's begin with our very first review, Sendai Girls. Okay, Sendai Girls. I think many of you haven't heard from one for quite a while. This is their most recent one they did back during the weekend in Shinjuku FACE back on the 9th of June. Now, our opening match, we have Yuta Suzuki versus Yuna. So, nothing too significant about this match. I have seen Yuta Suzuki not only in Sendai Girls, but in Glee before, but only when she's involved in the UWF rules type of matches. But Yuna, as you know, she's still a rookie. She's still learning. But however, she didn't walk away with the win because it was Suzuki with a leg lock that allowed her to pick up the win. Our next match, well, this one is a bit of a comedy type match. We have Shin Sakura Hirota try to impersonate, of course, Meiko Satomura. She faces against, of course, Kuroshio Tokyo Japan, or as you guys may know him in NXT, Ikemen Jiro. Yeah, it's so funny to see him. Not to mention, but the one thing that was really is interesting, of course, there was that. If you guys know this, Hirota likes to do this with her hands and put it up a person's butthole. Well, apparently it backfired on her when she did that with Ikemen, and then he tried to do it with her. It didn't do the same thing. Basically, they had something in their, you know, I'm not gonna say it again, but yeah, that kind of went in. But however, for some odd reason, she had this match won. She got distracted over something, and then of course, Ikemen applied the schoolboy, and just like that, it was over. I don't know what was she thinking. I think she was like in another world or something, but it was just too darn funny. But anyway, it was Ikemen Jiro who walked away with the win. Our next match, we have 6-woman tag team match. Team number 1, we have Zones from Evolution teaming up with Veni, and of course, the queen of the hardcore queen herself, Dash Shizako. They take on, of course, Chichu, also from Evolutions, with Miyuki Takase, and of course, the Sendai Girls World Champion, Mika Iwata. Now, of course, the factor of this match, if somehow either Zones, Veni, or Dash pins Mika Iwata, they get an opportunity of the world title. That is something I'm sure they have crossed their minds. But however, you would think that there's going to be some interesting moments. Now, don't forget, X Factor here is the Takase and Iwata are known as Red Energy. They are a highly skilled tag team, very cohesion. Now, I don't know about the other team, but they did pretty well. But it was Dash who picked up the win when she applied a frog splash onto Chi-Chi to pick up the win. However, once the match was over, once the winning team left, Mika Iwata along with her team remained to bow to the audience even though they lost. We had an unexpected visitor coming all the way from Stardom. You guys may know who I'm talking about, Sayuri Anu. Now, you probably ask yourselves what she's there. Well, if you guys don't know this, she had a haul ass from the Oz Academy show all the way just to pop up and say hi to Wada to remind her about their upcoming match this coming June on the 22nd. So basically, that was the whole thing about. But we'll see what happens until then. Our next match, we have a very interesting tag match. We have Best Friends. I mean, we're not talking about Orange Cassidy, Trent Beretta, and Chuck Taylor. We're talking about best friends between these two ladies, Arisa Nakajima and Tsukasa Fujimoto. Now, don't forget, Nakajima is set to retire this coming August, so that's the reason. But they have to face their toughest challenge of them all, and that is, of course, taking on Team 200 Kilogram, consistent of you and Shihiro Hashimoto. So you would think this is a tough challenge, yes, but you would think someone has to pick up a win. I mean, normally that is something we would see, but unfortunately, excuse me, neither team were able to pick up a win. But unfortunately, this match ended in a 15-minute time limit draw. I mean, normally here in the States, we're not satisfied with that. In Japan, they treat it more like, okay, like at least they did their best, but they'll do it again at some point. So, but it was a pretty good match. Now, our main event is for the Sendai Girls tag team titles. We have the challengers, Yurika Oko and Miyu Momono, versus the champions, Manami and Ryo Mizunami. Now, how do we get from this match? Well, that's easy. It was it was Miyu Momono who pinned Manami for a shot of this tag team titles, but because by default, the person who picks up the win to a champion automatically gets an opportunity to call their shots for a title shot, and that's how we got here. But I have to say the match was pretty good. Now, I don't think Yurika Oka has ever held any championships. We know that Miyu Momono has in Marvelous and Oz Academy, but I don't think she's ever held any championships with Sendai Girls. But it was a pretty good match. But you would think that, okay, Manami would have been a bit of a weaker link here. Nope. She surprised me when she applied a German suplex onto Oka in order to retain the belt. So that means Nanami and Manami, and of course Ryo Mizunami, retained the tag team belt. And of course, as soon as everything was over, they did a little promo and yada yada yada. So that's how the whole event ended. Pretty good show. But right now, let's move on to the next one, and I believe that is Marigold. Okay, Marigold. As we continue with Grand Opening Wars 2024, we are now in day 4. This took place, of course, today on a Tuesday in Japan. Opened up with Mirai versus Komomo Minami. Now, those who know her, she was in fact she was part of that batch of wrestlers in Stardom that were set to debut in the New Blood Premium alongside with Aya Sakura and of course Hanako. But it was later foretold as soon as the event was over that Aya Sakura and Hanako were there, but I did not see any photos of Hanako. There was a photo that it was posted with Aya Sakura and of course Komomono and Minami together, which was great to see those two together. And it's great that Sakura went down there to show her support. You know, really classy person. But this was her debut match. I mean, I know many people talked about what happened to her when she was supposed to debut. Well, she got injured, her debut was postponed, but I don't know the significance why she made the choice to go with Rossi. But nonetheless, she finally got her debut. She faced against Mirai. However, I have to say this was a much impressive match. Not because I think because she's a rookie. It's because you wouldn't think that a rookie would be able to withstand a wrestler like Mirai. You guys see Mirai, what she's capable of. She is a strong wrestler, and that's exactly what she does. But however, she was holding on as long as possible when, of course, Mirai applied the sharpshooter, and she was so close getting to the ropes, she refuses to quit. But unfortunately, when she was dragged back into the middle of the ring, she had no other choice but to tap. And of course, Mirai shows some very sport-like conduct, knowing that yes, you did a pretty good job. I'll be keeping an eye on you. It was also foretold when Minami actually made the jump to Marigold. It was Mirai who was training her at the dojo, so it would make sense that it would had to be, of course, the student challenging the teacher. So it would make sense. Now, we did see a surprise appearance from Rossi, who, as you know, normally he's at the desk, but he showed up because apparently he had a little something to say. Unexpectedly, we saw the arrival of someone who recently left Sendai Girls. If you guys remember clearly, I did announce that Sendai Girls announced that Rhea Maru, um, Marumori left Sendai Girls. She only has been as a rookie for 2 years with Sendai Girls. Now, Rossi, in the other hand, explained that the reason she's in Marigold was this. He gets a call from Meiko Satomura um, telling him that Marumori was wants to join Marigold. So she asked him, "Can you please have a talk with her?" So apparently on the day of the show, she did her interview with him, and of course, that's how the whole thing. So she is now full blown with the roster. So we are yet to see when she'll be debuting, but I'm sure we will see that soon enough. But it's interesting. But what I do like is this. It turns out this is not the first time that Rossi has taken a call from Meiko Satomura. Turns out back a few years, Meiko called, of course, Rossi about Maya Andrade, who you may know her in Glee as Michiko. So basically, that's the same old thing. So this was like about what, 5 years ago or so? But yeah, so it explains a whole lot. Now, our next match, we have Nagisa Nozaki versus Nao Ishikawa. Now, we haven't. Now, those who know this or not, Nao Ishikawa, in the other hand, was out this past week for the last two shows due to, of course, knee problems. They want to make sure they just, as a precaution, they asked her to stay home and try to relax and hopefully get better from this. And she's ready to go. But however, as you may or may not know, she already had three losses since starting. People have already given in to her as okay, she hasn't won her match, but people adore her. That I don't know if they're doing a similar to what they did with Waka Tsukiyama. I mean, not to compare them, but I don't think it's the same thing. But we do know now Ishikawa was taking under the wing of Julia, but we'll see how that goes. But oh man, she withstand everything from Nozaki, but unfortunately, Nozaki applied like a somewhat of a claymore onto her, and just like that, it was over. So the match was done from there. Now our next match, we had a very interesting match. We have Chiaki. She teams up with Natsumi Shozaki. They take on Mitsa Matsui and Mai Sakurai. Interesting pairing between these two because Mai Sakurai hasn't teamed up with any other person other if it's either Mirai or Julia of that matter. But it was a pretty good match. But I have to say I was impressed with Misa Matsui. I mean, she had an incredible match against Nana Takahashi, and I think that lifted her spirits. Even Nana Takahashi saw a lot of great potential in her. And of course, it had to be her who picked up the win on Shozaki when she applied the Maru Maru suplex, and just like that, it was over. Now, as soon as the match was over, we entered the post match where Matsui actually did a promo, and she talked about, of course, gunning for a brand new belt. Now, we're not talking about the Marigold World title or the Marigold United National title. We're talking about a brand new one called the Super Flyweight title. Now, I don't know what the hell is that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar as the High Speed belt. But, however, Matsui made it clear that she wants to be in the running for that belt. And then, of course, the losing opponent, Shozaki, actually stepped in saying that she'd be making a play for that belt, which is going to be good. So we'll talk more about that in a little bit. So just to get you guys going. Now our next match is a 6-woman tag team match. Team number 1, we have Mila Grace, Zeta Steel, and Bozilla taking on Chika Goto, Koiki Amori, and Miku Anoi. Now I have to say, seeing Goto, Kyoki, and Anu, they were really, really impressive as a trio. I mean, if Marigold decides to have a trios belt, my pick would be these three. But however, the one thing they need to be more concerned is Bozilla. Bozilla is a force to be reckoned with, and that's exactly what she's been doing. But Miko Ano showed no fear whatsoever, knowing the fact that Bozilla may be big and may be strong, but could she picked up could pick up a win over her? Well, that did not do any well, because throughout the entirety of the match, both Mila Grace and Zeta Steel were fighting. Well, not fighting, more like arguing with each other who's the bigger star. But unfortunately, once again, Zeta Steel ended up losing the match and ended up on the wrong side of the Styles Clash by Anu, and then of course losing. But Bozilla, once again, like last time, she attacked Zeta Steel for being an idiot, for losing the match. Now, as soon as that whole thing happened, Anu made a play announcement that she said that she'll be going for the white belt, the United National Championship. But Mirai, on the other hand, also they made the decision to make a play for that belt. So that's exactly what happened. So they asked anybody else, and they looked at Bozella, and Bozella also entered in the running for this. So we'll see what happens more with that. So we'll talk about that at another time of this on this episode, so you guys can get a much clearer idea of what's been happening. Now, our next match we have Suri versus Victoria Yuzuki. Now, once again, as you know the story, Suri has declared herself as the ace of Marigold. Now, everybody from Mirai, of course, Yuzuki and Julia are like going, what the F is wrong with you? So they feel that an outsider like her has no right to become calling themselves the ace. Well, she did. But, of course, but Yuzuki, as you know, she is always impressive. I mean, she just debuted almost half a year ago now. You wouldn't expect that she could hold a fight someone like Suri, and I think Suri was very impressed by it. But unfortunately, this match ended with, of course, Suri applying the Uranagi suplex, and just like that, it was over. But of course, Suri was impressed by her and told her, keep going strong, and I'll be waiting for you. And of course, she tried to shake her hand, but Yuzuki was not having it. However, Suri called out Julia, and of course, this and that. And then Mai Sakurai, who hasn't forgotten the loss against Suri, felt that she's heartbroken. So she issued a challenge towards her, saying that she's going to break her heart. But of course, people are saying already, Suri is gonna kill you. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match is a passion injection match. Nana Takahashi faces against Utami Ayashida. I have to say, what a great match. Nana Takahashi, as you know, has more experience than Utami Ayashida. These two ladies are champions in their own right back in Stardom. So that sets it up. But the gap year is the one thing that is the deciding factor. Nana Takahashi, of her knowledge as a pro wrestler, same thing with Utami. So basically, that is the thing that sets them apart. But it was Utami Ayashida who, in fact, pulled off the win and finally defeating Nana Takahashi, her passion of ejection match, by applying the hijack bomb, and it was over. And of course, they went to a promo. Utami talked to her, saying, "Thank you for pushing me to my limits." Nana Takahashi, says that she would like to spread the passion with her, But, however, this is where the much biggest surprise happened. Rossi Ogawa said that he had an opponent for her coming up on July 13th for the Summer Destiny. And it turned out something she never would have expected. It was Io Sky. And her reaction towards this was, in fact, genuine. She was crying, even in the ring, even during the post-match comments. And, of course, it was expected. I mean, we didn't know that Rossi said that WWE were going to allow them to borrow Kairi and Io Sky for this whole thing. So, we don't know what Kairi's going to do in the summer, but I'm sure we'll be waiting until then. But it was a good show, not going to lie. Pretty good one. So, until then, this is pretty much it with Mighty Gold. I think it's time to do our last and final review, and that is NXT. Okay, our last review, NXT. As you know, we come out of the aftermath of the NXT Battleground at the Apex Center or whatever, runs by the UFC. It opened up with Kelani Jordan. As you know, she is the new and the inaugural Women's North American Champion. So she comes out, does her promo, talks about how she wants to make the women's North American title a very much prestigious belt. However, Jada Parker, who feels that belt should have been hers, is saying that sooner or later that she's gonna lose that belt quicker. But Michin shows up and tries to take matters in her own hands. So basically, as you know, Jada Parker and Michin have been going back and forth since Michin made her return to NXT a while back. So that's how the whole thing between them kept going and going and going and going. But it resulted into a match. But we did see concerns when, of course, Jada Parker applied a hip attack while Michi was near the ropes. She went outside the ring. But the OCs, Gallows and Anderson, went up to check on her if she was okay. And Parker warned them to stay out of this. Of course they did. But, however, there was a moment where Parker was intending to hurt Michi with the chair, but the ref was distracted by Gallows, giving time for Anderson to, in fact, take off the belt from her. But it was a rollback by, of course, Michi that picked up the win, which led to a very surprising win. Now, this is what happened in the aftermath of this match. Jada Parker was not happy. She was with OTM, telling them that, of course, she would have done things on her own, but when it came to Michi, she's now considering it. She's a problem that needs to be dealt with. But, however, while that was happening, Michi had a little conversation with Ava for an opportunity to be the first person to take a shot at the women's North American title, and it's going to happen next week, I believe. So that's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So let's keep on moving. Now, after the brutal attack that Wesley had against Gallows, well, he has some backup. So the New Catch Republic volunteered, saying that 3-on-1 is barbaric, so they will take on Gallows a little later. Now, we did see the funny segment where, of course, Professor Chase, Holland were arguing with Riley and Duke, and then, of course, the hell goes, "Everybody shut the effing up!" And they're like, the reaction's like, and then she had to go out and, try to put everybody in their place. I mean, she practically had it with everybody, right up to here, I believe. She tells Riley, "Hey, you are an outsider, and we'll let you in." And then she goes towards Professor Chase about him betting the school, and all this. And then Duke, being the person who people thought was going to backstab, Professor Chase. So basically, they're saying the word "chase you." That's not a teachable moment, but it's the truth. So basically, she made some good points. So we'll see how they will progress. Now, our next match, we have Gallus, Wolfgang, Mark, and his brother Joe Coffey taking on Wesley, and of course, New Catch Republic, Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. I mean, the match was pretty hard hitting. You would expect a whole lot, but unfortunately, this match ended with, of course, with Joe Coffey applying the Bells Fest on Lee to pick up the win. Now, before Brinley's next her match against Wendy Chu, it seems like what's his name? Once again, Enofe was having a bad feeling because of bad luck and all that. So, well, apparently his worst fears that came in, because we saw Wendy Chu come out a different gimmick, like something out of a nightmare. I mean, I don't know what exactly would happen if you take a long sleep. That's the thing. And she had like this evil look. I mean, Brinley probably didn't have a chance, but it was Wendy Chu with a somewhat of a chokehold to put away this match. So practically, yes. Now, Ava puts general manager Ava, as you know, announced on Twitter that Oro Mensah was banned from the building after the malicious attack against Ethan Page and all that. So I'm pretty sure, of course, Ethan Page was happy with the fact that something was being done, but how long would it last? So we'll see where that takes us from here now. Now, Roxanne Perez was arrived, and of course telling everybody that nobody in the world is, of course, is gonna be able to take off the belt from her. And of course, Mr. Stone said that however, she wants Ava to apologize to her for putting her in a bad predicament to put her belt against an outsider. And of course, Ava Reigns and Mr. Stone did have a little talk about that. They know that they're dealing with a very, very difficult person. So we'll see where that goes. Cody Rhodes shows up and does a promo, and then of course here comes Trick Williams and all that. They talk about their trials, their challenges that they have to go through, to reach the top, and all this. But however, Cody Rhodes became a messenger to inform him for his next challenger to challenge him for the NXT belt will be in a 25-man battle royale. There'll be people from other locker rooms that will be involved. So basically, this is a well prepared. But before he left, Trick Williams asked him, is he going to the cookout? And he says that he is. Now, speaking of Wendy Chu, Carly Bright, saw Wendy Chu and she just freaked out. I'm like thinking, uh-oh, bad luck. Now, our next match is a Singapore cane match with just kendo sticks all over it. Now, Dante Chen had enough of Lexis King. Lexis King, who is a sore loser who couldn't beat him twice. So he decided to take retribution on King for what he's done to him. Try to break him. But however, oh man, Dante Chen really went out with all those kendo sticks. But unfortunately, Alexis King brought his own cane involved in this, but he used it in the coronation to pick up the win. Now, Jay-Z Jane was with Jabs and Nix talking, and then she saw Cody Rhodes, and Cody had a little present for her, and that present is the infamous face mask. You guys know what I'm talking about. That face mask that Cody wore many years ago that kind of put his face a bit of disfigure. So it's kind of interesting how that rolls up. Now, our next match, we have Tavon Heights taking on Eddie Thorpe. I thought it was a pretty impressive match. I mean, Tavon Heights, we have seen him grow and grow little by little. But when it comes to Eddie Thorpe, that guy is in a different level. But he was able to pick up the win with the DDT, implant DDT. Now, in the back, while this match happened afterwards, Charlie Dempsey was impressed by Tavon Heights, and he asked Miles Bourne, go get him. So basically, he wants to recruit him. But Kemp was going out of position, saying that they don't need to recruit him. But Charlie Dempsey reminded him that don't question his authority, and also that he couldn't even beat the D'Angelo family for the Heritage Cup. So basically, he put him in his place. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Now, our next match, we have Javon Evans versus Shawn Spears. This whole thing happened a week ago when, of course, Spears attacked Josh Briggs. And then this. And I have to say, Evans had the guts to stand up against a guy like him. But unfortunately, it was not enough because Javon Evans ended up on the wrong side of the C4, winning the match. Now, you probably saw this. We saw Axiom and Nathan Frazier interacting with their pals. The new Catch Republic, Bate and Dunn. They were talking about, of course, Frazier and Axiom having a celebration after defeating the OC, and it was a pretty good thing until they were visited by the D'Angelo family. Now, it wouldn't be surprising that, of course, Frazier and Axiom would be once again being challenged for the tag belts, but Frazier had one thing in mind, and he was looking at the Heritage Cup. So that pretty much sums it up. Now, we did see a little backstage interaction. Cody runs into Shawn Spears, then Ethan Page, and then, of course, Lexis King. So, kind of an interesting moment, don't you guys think? And then Cody told him that they are in the right place. Now, before the end of the programming, Roxanne Perez comes out, does a promo telling people, I told you that no one's going to take off take this belt away from me. Now, some of you already think we already know who could do it, and we're waiting for that. And of course, Ava comes out and saying this and that. And then all of a sudden, JC Jane showed up, putting her name on the hat. So did Lash Legend, and so did Lola Vice. However, Roxanne Perez should have seen this one coming. She is confident enough that no one will take the belt, but she should have known that there is a huge target in her back. I don't think she foresaw it, but however, I can see that now she is troubling. She has 3 people gunning for her, but which one is going to be the recipient that will try to take that belt off of her? That is the obvious thing that would be obvious right there. So we'll see what happens until then. But I think we are done with our reviews. I believe it's time for news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with, of course, updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. First, we have GCW. We have a massive of updates coming from them. Now, as you know, this coming weekend they will be in Phoenix, Arizona for the I Can't Feel My Face on June 16th. There's going to be a 6-man tag team match. We have YDGD, going to say Young, Dumb, and Garbage Daddies, I'm sure. There's a picture, of course, of Jordan Oliver with, of course, Alec Price and Cole Radrick. They take on Brick Shithouse, consistent of Rob Shit, Jordan Cruz, and I forgot who was the other one. But yes, so that's what's going to happen. Now, the following week for the Dallas show for Crime Wave on the 29th, Galeno Del Mal will be in action to take on the Master of the Tornado DDT, Fuego del Sol. And then on July 5th, they will be in Toronto for the Worst Behavior. The GCW World Tag Team titles will be defended. Violence is Forever, Ku and Greeny will defend the belts against Steph the Landers and Broski Jimmy. I wouldn't be surprised if they did win this match, because that would be something that would tell the storyline. Now, on the 19th of July, they will be in St. Louis for So High. It was announced that Masha Slamovich will be facing, he's nice, he's very evil, Danhausen. And then on the 20th at the in Indianapolis for Don't Tell Me What to Do, the Rejects, Reed Bentley and John Wayne Murdoch, they will be facing off against Myron Reed and Jordan Oliver. And then August 4th for the Can I Trust You in Asbury Park, Matt Tremont will be in action to take on Zilla Fatu. And then, of course, we have the 2-day event at Atlantic City Homecoming on August 24th and 25th. It was announced that Ultramantis Black will be there. Now, as you know, we got more information coming in, updates with Stardom. The first one is, of course, for the conversion event. We have the full card for that one. Let me pull that up real quick for all of you. Yes, here it is. We got the world title will be defended. Micah versus Xena. The Wonder, the white belt. Saudi Nui defends her belt against Mika Wada. The Goddesses will be defended again. Azuki and Ida will defend it against their Stars teammates, Hanan and Saida. Then we have the final chapter match, Queen's Quest versus, of course, Oedo Tai. Mayu Watani will team up with Momo Kogo. They'll take on God's Eye members Suri and Amisuri. Starlight Kid will be in action to take on Mei Sita. Mina Shirakawa teams up with Hanako, taking on Cosmic Angels Natsupoi and Yuna Mizumori. Tam Nakano teams up with the rookies, Aya Sakura and Sayakura, to take on the other members of God's Eye, Saki Kashima, the returning Tomoka Inaba, and Rana Yagami. So that's going to be a fun match, seeing Sakura and Inaba doing their strike kicks. And then finally, we have Rian taking on Fukigen Death. And then, of course, you may have heard about what's going on with the 5-star Grand Prix happening in August, I believe. There's going to be a 4-block system. Now, the champions will be in this. The champions will be in one block each, and there will be 6 others involved in that. But however, three of each block has already happened. Now let's start with the Red Stars A. We have Maika, Azuki, and Natsuko Tora and Natsupoi in one block. Now the Red Stars B, we have Mayu Iwatani, Tam Nakano, Momo Watanabe, and Azumi. And then we have the Blue Stars A, Sado Inui, Starlight Kid, Sudi, and Zeta. Then we move on with Blue Stars B, Suzuki, Saya Kamitani, Hanan, and Ami Sori. So basically, Zuzu is returning back just in time for this. I'm very happy for her. So, but there are 3 available spots, 3 each for each block. So we don't know who else will be in, but I'm sure we'll get to that. Um, let's keep moving forward. MARIGOLD, as you know, they will have their next shows this coming weekend. Um, let's talk about the Saturday one in Kyoto at the KBS Hall. We have the Superfly Championship first round matches. We have Natsumi Shozuki will take on Zeta Lee. And then, of course, the other match involving that, we have Misa Masui taking on Molly Grace. Then, of course, we have Utami Ishida and Mirai and Kyoko Amari. They take on Nanane Takahashi, Nao Ishikawa, and Chiko Goto. And then, of course, we have Mika Ano. She teams up with Mai Sakurai to take on Suri and Nagiza Nozaki. So, as you know, this is a prelude before, of course, Suri takes on Mai Sakurai. And then we have Victoria Yuzuki in a handicap match, teaming up with the debut of Komomo Minami taking on Bozilla. Ooh, that's gonna be a good one. And then finally, we have for the Sunday one and of course, in Nagoya, we have the white belt first round matches, 2 of them. We have Mirai versus Miko Anom. Then we have Nagiza Nozaki versus Bozilla. So those two matches are involved in the United National Championship round. Then, of course, we have Mai Sakurai versus Sari. That's going to be interesting. We do have another passion ejection match. Nana Takahashi versus Nao Ishikawa. Then we have, of course, Utame Ishida, Koiki Amare, and of course, and Chika Goto. They take on Natsumi Shizuki, Victoria Yuzuki, and Komomo Minami. And then we have Chiaki and Mitsa Matsui taking on Zeta Steel and Mala Grace. So that's pretty much what's happening for, of course, MARIGOLD for those 2 days. Then, of course, Prestige Wrestling announced 2 matches taking place for the Combat Clash PDX taking place on July 12th. We have Amina facing off against Kylie Ray. Then we have the Prestige Wrestling Tag Team titles on the line in a 4-way. The champions, Sinner and Saints, defend their belts against MXM, Midnight Heat, and C4. So that's going to be a good one. Now, another match was announced for the Untouchable event, which is the collaboration between West Coast Pro, Deadlock Pro Wrestling, and Prestige. Vinny Masario takes on Adam Priest. And then finally, Kitsune Women's Wrestling announced for the Yabai event taking place on August 18. Ak Yasukawa will be making her debut. Now, those who don't know her, those who are familiarized with her, then those who don't, then let me tell you who she is. Ak Yasukawa was the infamous wrestler that was involved in that shoot incident with Stardom almost, a long time ago, back in 2015, that put Stardom in one of those dark timings because of it, that led many wrestlers to leave because of it. But it's great to see her that she will be participating. So that's going to be a lot of fun matches. Now for our developments going on. Now, I don't know how reliable this is, but this was reported by going ringside with local station. They were talking about Booker T, about his WWE contract will be up pretty soon. Now, I don't know exactly if this is highly reliable, but I'm sure Sean Ross Sapp will get that information if it's true. First, we want to give congratulations to Natalia Markova. Those who know, I did not know this. I don't know if you guys knew this. She just posted on her Instagram page that she is now an American citizen. So congratulations, Natalia. Hope you get to live up your dream, the American life. So I did not know she was actually not an American citizen, but it's great that she got that done. Uh, as you may know, people are talking about the whole WWE and TNA working together. Well, Fightful Select got something that we're talking about. They said people in NXT spoke highly about highly of Mustafa Ali when discussion of TNA crossover opportunities. Now, many people in NXT were not happy with the result of Mustafa Ali being fired. So I'm sure this is a, how do I say, a a wrong that has to be written again, because it was really messed up. They had plans for him, and it was shattered for that. Now, Cody Rhodes was mentioned by Soft Ground Wrestling, which is the promotion based out of Africa in Uganda. Cody said that he promised to invest and buy a fully funded wrestling ring and send it to, of course, to the guys in Soft Ground Wrestling to help the Ugandan wrestling grow. Real nice guy from there. I know many wrestlers have donated money to these guys, so it's great to hear that Cody is doing something well. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Fightful Select had an opportunity to talk to Jordynne Grace after the match that she had, of course, um, after her match in Battlefield. They asked her about, that has addressed that there was any limitations placed for her on WWE for that, but this is what she said: can't do any pile drivers. Only certain people can. They don't know me like that. I gotta get some more credibility under my belt first before I start busting a trap arm pile driver. So basically, she was not allowed to use pile driver. So it would make absolutely sense. Now, Saya Kamitani has spoken about the recent dilemma regarding Oedo Tai scamming uh, Queen's Quest and, of course, President Okada for that final chapter match. This is what she had to say about, the falsifying the match contract. Things Oedo Tai does really make me feel good, like good grief. I'm shocked, and this is also President Okada's fault, isn't it? But no matter what the rules are, we need to win. We are going to crush Oedo Tai. And then she talked about being depressed about harsh criticism from fans after declaring herself as the leader of Queen's Quest. There were times I was depressed because I had dragged everyone in Queen's Quest down in my words. I don't want to lose even one of my beloved friends, and this is the only place I belong. I will overcome this challenge, thinking of it as a test to become a worthy leader. As a leader, I will definitely protect everyone. I mean, it's admirable of her, but she should have known better not to involve herself with Momo Watanabe. I mean, I did mention before in the news updates that I set up that that she really pissed off Natsuko Tora, but we'll see what happens until then. I'm sure we got plenty of time from then, but until then, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite. A lot of things are going to happen from here on out. We do have Jack Perry versus Dustin Rhodes as part of the TNA Championship qualifier match that we're looking forward to it. So anything could happen until then. So we're going to pay attention. Now, I haven't decided yet on what I'm going to do before then, but I do know that I do have another podcast that I'm going to be, of course, putting out. So we'll see what happens. But until then, that's the plan. But we'll call it from here now. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.